Adam Green here with no more news. It's April 4th, 2019. Headline out of the Times of Israel. Zehutz Feiglin says he wants to build the third temple right away. Chairman of the far-right party, which is enjoying growing popularity, is a longtime advocate of Jews' rights on the Temple Mount and has called for increased Israeli control over the site. Before I get into this article, let me bring you up to speed. I've been covering this Zionist endgame prophecy stuff for over a year now in depth on my channel. Check out the Jewish Temple Prophecy playlist, as well as Zionism Exposed, and done a ton of videos on this, especially covering the end times prophecy with the third temple and the Jewish Messiah returning. And here's a few to bring you up some speed, some articles I've covered in the past. We have laying the groundwork for a third temple in Jerusalem, the Times of Israel. We have JTA. These American Jews are looking beyond the Western Wall to prayer on the Temple Mount. They want to move up to the Temple Mount where the ancient temple stood. And this movement, led by Orthodox American immigrants to Israel mostly, the movement gained greater access for Jews to the Temple Mount, the site of the Dome of the Rock, Muslim shrine, and Al-Aqsa Mosque. It has moved from the margins and the fringes nearly to the mainstream. Our movement is growing for sure, says Yehuda Glick, who the Zionist Organization of America just went and visited recently, a Brooklyn-born Israeli lawmaker and longtime Temple Mount activist. So this movement is growing. The movement has surged. The Temple Mount has gone mainstream, says Haaretz. Temple Mount extremists making inroads in both Knesset and the Israeli governments. The Israelis who take rebuilding the third temple very seriously. There's been attempts in the past to blow up the dome, and this has been a 2,500 year goal to rebuild the temple since it was destroyed in 70 AD. Times of Israel, Mr. Trump, rebuild the temple. Please rebuild the temple, says Kenneth Cohen. The Temple Institute, one of the groups behind this push, there's many. They have a photo here of Mike Pence, a shilling Christian Zionist, at the Western Wall, thinking about the Dome of the Rock and the temple, the third temple, replacing it. Imagine them just posting on Twitter, insinuating and admitting, confessing that they want to move this or destroy it to rebuild their temple. I mean, should be condemned. Haaretz, U.S. ambassador to Israel, pictured with controversial image of Jerusalem third temple replacing the Muslim mosque. So Mr. Friedman, Ambassador David Friedman, goes and visits Israel, and these extremists give him a big photo here with the Dome of the Rock photoshopped out and the third temple put in. Over in Jerusalem, they had for sale all over the place paintings with the dome gone and the temple there. All over the place. It's just... talk about anti-Islam. You know, they talk about anti-Semitism all the time. Imagine if... it was the other way around. Opinion, the third temple will be rebuilt. Jerusalem Post, Abbas Fattah, Israel planning to destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's the Palestinian leader says that. The Palestinians have since used the incident to revive their long-standing charge that Israel was planning to destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque in order to rebuild the temple. So the Palestinians know the plan, and why wouldn't they? Because Israelis are always talking about it. International Business Times, Israel, Al-Aqsa Mosque will, quote, will be replaced by Jewish temple, claims the housing minister, Uri Ariel. The housing minister who's always approving the bulldozing of Palestinian homes. Yeah, he wants to bulldoze the Dome of the Rock and put the temple there. The housing minister. And this is all a Chabad thing, not just a Chabad thing. It's essential to Judaism. Although not all Jews think that the temple should be built or there should even be a state of Israel. The Torah Jews are anti-Zionist and they're anti-Israel. They think their Messiah is supposed to come first and then lead them back to Israel. May it be, and then they'll rule over and fulfill all the end times prophecies and have their king rule from Jerusalem and Noahide laws and all that stuff. Chabad, may it be rebuilt. And the Christians, and this is how they control America so much, with Kufi, who is so influential, John Hagee, the Kabbalah wizard, as Rick Wiles likes to call him. Washington Post, half of evangelicals support Israel because they believe it is important for fulfilling end times prophecy. Thanks to the bought and sold televangelists and the Schofield Bible and all of this indoctrination. God's promise to Abraham and his descendants was for all time. That's evangelicals believe that's like, what is that, 65%? A couple more stats here. Views on the creation of the state of Israel says events or fulfillments of Bible prophecy that show we are getting closer to the return of Jesus Christ. Amazing how the Jews and the Christians believe there's going to be a different ruler in their end games and that it won't be so good for their adversary. So they're both using each other to double cross each other in the end. It's like they're made perfect for each other. They are truly an unholy alliance. And one more stat here. The existence of Israel fulfills prophecy about the second coming of Jesus Christ. The evangelicals, by far the most at, I can't tell, what is that, about 60%? It's a ton of the country is controlled, and this is all approved by Trump. They're already calling Trump the builder and the Cyrus and all this stuff. So, you know, he will give, it'll be the best temple you've ever seen. It'll be way better than the first two temples. I didn't plan on doing that. Okay, so now, since you're up to speed, we will get back into this article about the Zehoots, because, boys, they're a rabbit hole to go down. This guy, Feiglin, got some stuff highlighted here. The head of the far right, so this is the guy that wants to rebuild the temple right away. The head of the far-right quasi-libertarian Zehout Party said Wednesday that he wants to rebuild the Jewish temple on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem immediately. Quote, I don't want to build a third temple in 1 or 2 years. I want to build it now, Moshe Feiglin said at this Jerusalem Post conference in Tel Aviv. Feiglin is a major supporter of building in Jewish settlements and Jews praying on the Temple Mount. And during his tenure as a Likud, so he's a Benjamin Netanyahu's party, lawmaker repeatedly visited the contestant compound in Jerusalem, Old City, which is the holiest site in Judaism as the third holiest spot in Islam. Quote, to build the temple, I need support. I can't do it alone, he said at the end of his speech. Zehout's 344-page manifesto calls for measures to move government facilities to the Temple Mount and give the chief rabbinate authority over the site. Right now, who has control over the site is the King of Jordan. He's had control there for a long time. And here we have the King of Jordan is being pressured to give up control of the holy sites in the Temple Mount. And he says, amid Temple Mount tensions, this is Times of Israel, Jordan King calls Jerusalem a red line. Abdullah says kingdom has duty to protect religious sites in city following closure of the contested Gate of Mercy. So they're pressuring him because Kushner's peace deal behind the scenes apparently involves, you know, he's real close to Israel and Kushner with the Saudi crown prince and the Saudis. Kushner peace plan includes land swaps with Saudi Arabia, book claims. And Mike Evans confirmed that this was at least in one of the versions of the peace deal draft. But back to the story. He wants to give control of the rabbis. They're also talking about giving it to Saudi Arabia or to the Vatican. Also in the Tom Horn Skywatch, the rabbi book, that's what he was saying. But it also advocates annexing the entire West Bank, encouraging Palestinians to leave the territories and curtailing the authority of the Supreme Court and the Attorney General. Mind you, their popularity is growing. And they surged in popularity in recent weeks and is currently polling at 4 to 7 seats in the Knesset of 120, I believe, which is very extreme right-wing. Netanyahu's actually one of the more moderates, I've been told. The Zehout is running a pro-cannabis platform and is also pushing a radical quasi-libertarian policy package with a religious and nationalist twist, kind of like Trump. Kind of like Bolsonaro, pushed out of the ruling Likud party 4 years ago for his maverick attitude and extreme position. So I guess he's even too extreme for the Likud, at least on the surface. So, oh, by the way, watch my video I did last night on Bolsonaro. This one, Brazil's Bolsonaro is a Zionist lackey. It's an important one to watch. So we have here another one, Jerusalem Post. Moshe Feiglin hopes to break the mold of election musical chairs. So here he is, a little more on his platform. Activist turned Likud MK and now leader of Zehout thinks his party is going to make a surprise in the 2019 elections. 19% of voters would consider voting for Zehout, and they come from across the political spectrum. He is going against, they say he does conspiracy theories, and he's fighting against the deep state, again, more like Trump. And he accuses other parties of wanting to have a two-state solution, and he says he's the only one that wants to have a one-state solution, where he gets rid of all the Palestinians and essentially just a Jewish Eretz Israel, Greater Israel. And with the capital of the world, the eternal capital of the world in Jerusalem, like he says he wants to build the temple. Quote, the only chance for breaking this is a revolution in Israeli politics to bring a free state and a one-state solution in Zehut, Feiglin argued. He says it's basically libertarianism. They want to annex all of the West Bank and offer citizenship only to Palestinians who will pledge loyalty to Israel while offering monetary incentives for others to leave. I wonder if the Palestinians will go for that. Abolishment of the mandatory... Oh, he wants to abolish the mandatory military draft and establishment of a professional army. And he pays tribute to Jewish genius, a little supremacist there. We think all Jews should move here, and when the economy looks the way we want, they'll come from Western countries. Oh, great, it just restarted. They'll come from... So he's all about bringing Jews back from the diaspora. He wants everybody to make Aliyah. They need to do that to fulfill the end times prophecy, the Messianic age. And he says that this is a huge obstacle. The mandatory IDF, serving in the IDF, is an obstacle to people making Aliyah, immigration to Israel. He says that he would not stay in the coalition and he would not negotiate with Palestinians. His immediate answer was no. And what do you know? Breitbart loves this guy. Breitbart exclusive. Israeli politician Moshe Feiglin vows to, quote, drain the swamp. Oh, he looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? So yeah, he's all about Breitbart. You know, that's basically Israeli Likud propaganda founded in Israel with Netanyahu, literally. Uh-oh. One more article. Ex-Shah's MK, economist, anti-vaxxer. Who's on Feiglin's pro-cannabis Zehut list? Times of Israel. I gotta slow down when I drink my water. Okay, so who am I looking for here? This talks about some of the other people on the Zehut platform and other notable candidates. Shlomo Gordon, for example, placed at number 13, centered his primary election campaign on anti-immunization platform, claiming that, quote, forced vaccinations violate the Nuremberg Code of informed consent. Feiglin said he did not support forcing the parents to have their children inoculated. Well, I agree with Zehut and Mr. Gordon on that. And just to bring it all home, Shlomo Gordon, you guys may recognize the name, Zionist Israeli debates Zionist critic Adam Green, streamed live July 16, 2018. Mr. Shlomo Gordon came on and did 2 debates with me talking about these issues. I asked him about the temple. I'm pretty sure he said yes, he does want to build the temple, and basically said all the stuff that the Zehut talks about. He was anti-immunization. He was very Zionist, and is an interesting debate. You guys should check it out. 2 hours and 40 minutes. And okay, we talked about the Kushner peace plan in Jordan. And what else can I say about Shlomo? I really admire Shlomo's willingness to debate these issues and to talk about these things, and his honesty on a lot of things. There was some wizardry, I have to admit, a little bit of wizardry, but you know, it just shows that we can have a dialogue and talk about these kind of things. And that it doesn't need to, because if we don't talk, it becomes more extreme, and we need to. We gotta make things better. I'll just end it with that. Anyway, guys, check out Jewish Temple Prophecy. Jewish Temple Prophecy. I wonder what Shlomo thinks. Oh, I'll also say Shlomo said I sent him this article, and he said it's fake news. So Shlomo says that this is fake news about the Zehut party leader. I don't know if Times of Israel got this quote wrong, that he wants to build a 3rd temple right away, but we'll see. Maybe he will have a response. Maybe he responded to me already. I could check on WhatsApp. Anyway, guys, that's all for now. If you want to support independent media like this, check out the PayPal link or the Patreon link in the description below. Like, share, subscribe, share. Talk to every Christian you know about this 3rd temple, end times, apocalyptic dystopian future these guys are trying to usher in. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.